Hi everybody, welcome back for another episode of Sip and Simmer with me, Anita Manager. Okay, so, like I say at the beginning of every episode, it's very important in this time. We're here to talk about good things and happiness, and we're not going to talk about anything negative. So to start off talking about something positive today, we are going to talk about Mystic Market, specifically their location in Westport. They are doing something that they're calling Homes for Hope. It is a donation program, and for $11.99, you can donate a meal to somebody who is less fortunate, and those who are less fortunate are struggling even more right now. So you can buy a meal for somebody in need, and that includes delivery, and you can call them directly at 203-349-8528, or by the end of tonight or tomorrow, it will be available to donate online on their app or their website. And that is Mystic Market. Again, they're in Westport. They're right near the train station, and they're also available for pickup curbside service for any of their meals that they have available. Okay, so to start our evening tonight, I couldn't really think of anything that goes with a chocolate trifle, so I decided to go with a tequila sunrise because they're delicious, and the citrus I feel like would combat the really heaviness of a chocolate trifle. So I've got my shot glasses ready, I've got my wine glass ready, and I've got my orange juice. So the first thing that we're going to pour into our glass is we have 1.5 ounces of vodka, and then we've got 3/4 of a cup of orange juice. So you're going to pour those together. And with the orange juice, you can pour it directly on top, so that way it mixes it all together, so you don't have to dirty a spoon. And then I have 3/4 of an ounce of grenadine. Now this, what you're going to do is you're going to pour it directly down the side, so that way it all falls to the bottom. And that is a perfect tequila sunrise. That's really pretty, isn't it? And my favorite part about it is I'm not really crazy about sweet drinks, so I know this sounds silly that I'm gonna make this, but the grenadine sits at the bottom, so at the end it's like a shock of sweetness. I love orange juice. And right now everybody needs their daily dose of vitamin C, so you can have a couple of these. Okay, so to start our trifle today, we're gonna start by making our pudding. So this recipe, I wouldn't necessarily suggest it for just making regular pudding, because this is going to be a little bit more loose than traditional pudding, because you want it to absorb into the day-old cake and the day-old brownie. So if you were to do this, I would just increase the amount of cornstarch. So when we get there, I'll let you know. So I already have some prepared like I usually do. And in a time when we need to be careful, I am cutting my recipe in half. So I'm going to tell you what I usually mix, not what I have here. So before anybody says anything, this is not 4 cups of milk. So in our pot, we're going to start with 4 cups of milk. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of butter. I already washed my hands. And we have 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So we're gonna get that going. Maybe. We'll use the back burner. Okay, so while that is starting to heat up, I am going to get my dry ingredients together. I have 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I've got 1 cup of sugar. So I'm going to get that together, and then I have 1/2 cup of cocoa and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So we're going to mix this up. This you really don't have to go too crazy about mixing, because we are going to put it through the sifter, so that way it's nice and fine, so that way it incorporates nicely into all the milk. So we're just going to give this a pour. And then we're going to just mix the dry ingredients into the sieve over the pot while it's heating up. Okay, while this is going, I'm going to repeat. I'm doing this show every day except for Friday. Friday is drag race, and also I need to give my arteries and my face a moment to breathe. So tomorrow will be the one day a week that I won't be doing the show, but you can come back on Saturday and see what goodies I have cooking up for you. Also, if you'd like to contribute, my Venmo is Anita_Manager, and all the proceeds from that will be going to getting all of the ingredients and the liquor and everything to make all these nice treats with you guys. Okay. It's been a little humid in my house, so it just took a second to get all that cocoa powder mixed in. And now we're really just gonna let this come to a boil. You wanna make sure that you keep it moving because it will get stuck to the bottom of the pan and you'll have some lumpy bits, and that's disgusting. So, now that I've got that going, I'm gonna grab my whisk and give that a stir. All right, and now while that's heating up, just to multitask, I'm going to get my whipped cream mixed. So, like I said, these aren't my traditional recipes for my pudding or my whipped cream because it's a very heavy dessert and it's a very sweet dessert. So for my whipped cream, I'm not gonna put anything in it. This is just straight heavy cream. And I'm going to grab my hand mixer and my towel so I don't get covered in heavy cream, and I'm just gonna give that a mix. And like I said last time, when you're making whipped cream, you wanna make sure that you're paying attention because if you overmix it, you're gonna make butter. And everybody loves butter, but not in a death by chocolate. Almost there. Alright. Well, I lied. It's not almost there. So, the best, and you can get all of the different ingredients going at the same time because everything is all ready aside from your wet ingredients or your wet recipes. So the pudding and the whipped cream are the last things to go. So the best part about this for me is I've already got my cake and my brownies made from the other day when we were all together last, and they are going to literally just be crumbled up. So the reason that you want them to be a little bit day old and sitting out is because you want it to, that's disgusting. You want it to be a little bit crunchy because it is going to get wet from the whipped cream and the pudding. So, once this gets nice and thick, we're gonna do like we did with our custard. We're gonna put it into a glass bowl and we're gonna cover it with saran wrap, but we're not gonna cover the bowl with the saran wrap. We're going to lay the saran wrap directly on top of the pudding itself. So, while this starts to get thick, I'm gonna move on. So I've got my whipped cream ready. I'm gonna clean my work surface so that way you guys can see what we're doing. And now I'm gonna grab my trifle. I know this seems super excessive, it's massive, but with using a full recipe of brownies, a full recipe of cake, pudding, and whipped cream, you need a really large vessel for this. This is my like 27-in-1 something or other, but my husband gave it to me. I think it was our first or second Christmas, so it is quite large. You can actually fit an entire cake underneath it, but like I said, there's a whole bunch of ingredients, so you want to have this. If not, what you can do is you can use individual cups and just layer them individually, but that takes a really long time. And also I feel like it takes away from the effect of seeing everything all together. So I'm gonna give this one last stir and I'm gonna let this keep on going on the side. So what I need now is I need my 2 cakes and my brownies that we made the other day. And we have them here. And the last thing that I need is my already made pudding, because this you really want to make sure it's been refrigerated for at least 3 or 4 hours, so that way it's nice and solid, just like this. So I'm gonna peel back that saran wrap. And if you look at it, it's wiggly and solid, but it's not almost hard like regular pudding is. Okay, so now that I've got all of my ingredients here, the way that I like to start it is I'm gonna do something dry on the bottom, because the weight of all of the liquid is going to seep into it, and it won't get really stuck to the bottom. So I've got a cake here, and I've got a fork here, and I'm literally just going to scrape the cake into the trifle. From there, I'm gonna level it out, but you really don't have to be too specific with your layers, as long as you have enough going in. That way you can see them from the side. Okay, so my cake is just about done. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to level that. And then from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with the whipped cream. So I just need a spoon. No matter how much I think I plan, I always forget something. Okay, so I'm gonna just dollop the whipped cream around the trifle, and I'm just going to spread it out. So that way, with every scoop, you're gonna get a little bit of everything. Okay, this is actually all finished. So, now that this pudding is done, I think this might be the best part about living with me, is that there is always something delicious to eat in the kitchen. Alright, so now that this pudding is all done, I'll show you guys how I finish it off. I take my glass bowl. I use a rubber spatula to get everything, because we don't like to waste. And that goes straight into the bowl. Okay, and while it's still hot, you're going to take your saran wrap and put it directly over the pudding. And that is going to eliminate any chance of getting that hard film on top of it. And that's it, and then that's gonna go directly in your refrigerator. Okay, so back to the trifle. I'm just gonna make sure that I have enough whipped cream to create a layer. And it's also nice to have a little bit left over, so you can do a little decorating on top. But this is what your first 2 layers together should look like. Okay, so from here, the brownie does not break apart as easily as the cake. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to rip all this off, because I line my pans the proper way, and I don't have to worry about trying to dig my brownies out of a pan. And I'm just going to break it up by hand. See how it's a little bit stale? It's a little bit crunchy. That is exactly what you want for this dish. And you're gonna wanna make this at least 24 hours in advance, so that way all of the pudding and the whipped cream can soak into your cake and your brownies. All right, so now I'm just going to pour this in. Okay, so far we have a cake and a serving of whipped cream. This is a really delectable dessert. I've got to build up my vitamin C before I dive into this one. I really like tequila. And that last shot of grenadine at the bottom, delicious. Okay. So, one more spoon for the pudding, and I'm just gonna scoop this in. You wanna do about half. The pudding looks disgusting, but it's delicious. So you're gonna spread that out, and you're gonna make sure that you really cover those brownies, because like I said, we're gonna put this in the fridge overnight and it's going to soak up and it's almost gonna be like one big cake. Oh, it's so good. Okay, so from here, I've got my next cake. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna scrape this guy in there. This time you wanna pay a little bit more attention because you are going on top of something wet. So it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to spread it out evenly. So you're gonna move your pan around to really coat everything. Okay. This is looking absolutely perfect. This dish is really great in the summertime because if you're having a barbecue or if you're having a lot of people over, it feeds a lot of people. You're gonna wanna have like half a serving of this at a time because it is super rich. Okay, so we have cake, and then we have whipped cream, and then we have brownie, and then we have pudding, and then we have cake, and then on the top, I'm gonna do the rest of the pudding. And we're gonna get a nice even layer of that. Beautiful. And then the final layer is gonna be the whipped cream. And this is where you can be a little creative because the top of it isn't very pretty. This is more pretty from the sides. I am going to just dollop this around the top of the pan, or the trifle. Just like that. And then I'm going to top it with any leftover crumbs of the cake that I have left. This is the perfect kind of dessert to make with kids because they can really get their hands in there. The only way that you've really got to get this last part on is by hand, because if you do it with the fork, it's just gonna be too heavy and you're gonna make another layer. You really just want this to be like a really delicate topping, almost like sprinkles. I love sprinkles. I always have sprinkles in the house and I will put them on literally anything. I could eat a tablespoon of sprinkles at a time. Okay. So, this dessert may have had a really quick come together today, but don't forget, we started with making our brownies, and then we made our cake, and then we had to make the pudding, and then we had to make the whipped cream. So there's a lot of steps involved, but when it comes to the day of, it's really easy to get in there and just put it all together. So this is the final outcome of my trifle. And what you're gonna do is you're going to put saran wrap over the top, and you're going to put it in the refrigerator for, like I said, you want to do around 24 hours, just so that way the whipped cream and the pudding can be absorbed into the day-old cake and the day-old brownie. I love my staff. You see, I've been very worried about getting my vitamin C intake, and I also have to be careful with my tequila intake, so I have a screwdriver here. Oh, that's delicious. I said staff, I said what I said, and I meant it. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so this is gonna go in the refrigerator for 24 hours, and you're gonna be able to have this tomorrow around lunchtime, dinner time. I would recommend not leaving it out on the counter after you've served it. I would put it directly back into the refrigerator because there is a lot of dairy here. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take your saran wrap, the smallest piece of saran wrap that you could possibly find, and you're gonna cover half of that dish, right? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna get another really small piece of saran wrap, and you're gonna put it on the other half of the dish, just like this. To be fair, this is quite a large dish, but that's it. So, yeah, that's it. This is my favorite dessert. So I want everybody to make all of these recipes, and I want you to make this dish. If you cut everything in half, it's gonna make a lot less than this. I love this, and I will eat half of this by myself, and I live with 5 other people, so I have to be a little courteous and make enough for everybody. So That's it for Sip and Simmer tonight. Everybody be well, be healthy and happy, and I will see you guys not tomorrow, but on Saturday. Enjoy your Friday. I'll miss you guys. Good night.
Staff.